Today we're going to answer the question, what do you get when you combine a mountain bike with a motorcycle and add a little electricity? Hopefully it is this. This is a Biktrix Juggernaut Ultra FS Pro 2 that I just received. I purchased it, and I will put it together today and we'll take a look at it. It is a fat tire full suspension bike with a 1,000-watt motor, and let's see. Well, first I'll show you inside the box just to see how it's packaged, and then we'll take a look at what's involved with putting it together, and then I'll do some tests against me pedaling on my old standard mountain bike, even throw in some races against my motorcycle just for fun. So hope you stick around and let's take a look at this. Just opened it up and everything looks to be very nicely packaged. This was sent via FedEx from Canada and it's made it no problem. The box looks good, and you can see they've wrapped and tied everything very well. So let's start unpacking it and putting it together. So first things, the disc brake has a nice cover in front of it on the front wheel. There's a protector from the other side, fell out. Seat. Box of stuff. And the bike itself. So go ahead and strip off all the protective covering and we'll get going. So the battery had plastic all wrapped around it, kind of keep it from rubbing against the frame. It has a partial charge anyway. I assume yellow means like half. Have to look at the instructions. With these, you can charge it off the bike or on the bike. There's a charging port there as well. So I'm going to actually leave this out for now until we get it assembled. And there's not too much to do here. Obviously you got to put the handlebars on. This is facing backwards, loosen that up, turn it around, put the pedals on, put the seat in, and that's about it for assembly. Let's take a look at what came in the box here. Okay, let's see what's in the box. Allen key, wrench, there's an extra screw and washer, pedals, and rear light, something to do with the forks. I think it may be the lower protectors, or it's just a lot of documentation. Yeah, okay, no, it's... yeah, these are... I'll get them out eventually. These are the shields to go on the front of the fork, the inverted forks. So, put that together for the moment. A welcome book. And all the manuals are online. They have some videos and all. Charging cable, the actual charger. Touch-up paint. Checklist on everything that's there. And I also bought the extra programming cable, which will be something for another day, but this will, in theory, allow me to change the power curves and the different modes, and just tune it a little bit for my riding. So anyway, so that's what's in the box. Okay, to start with, let's get the handlebars on so we're not worried about them flopping around anymore. Just use the provided Allen key and loosen the two bolts up a little bit. Then you should be able to take this and spin it around until you're roughly pointed forward. And then there are 4 bolts up here. Just snug this just a little bit. That'll hold it till we're ready for final tightening. Alright. Now you can bring the handlebars up. Get the cables all sorted. And I dropped the screw. Just loosely start a couple of these so you don't have to worry about it falling out. I'm not exactly sure where I'm going to want everything, so I'll just get it approximate for the moment. You can always adjust it later. And then, much like if you ever change a tire in your car, you're going to want to tighten this down in stages. I'm just barely snugging everything right now, and working kind of a cross pattern. Just waiting till these have any amount of friction on them at all, and then I'm stopping. Right, now, since it's the last one, I'll give it a little bit more. Cross, a little bit more. Yeah, that one wasn't tight. Okay, give it a final snug. And handlebars are on. Now let's get to the fork and the front tire. So this is the upgraded Ren fork, which is the upside down orientation. I also upgraded the the brakes. So at this point, what we're going to do, we got to take the bolt out of the drive side, and that will let this whole rod come out. We can remove the plastic spacer that they put in for shipping. We'll pull these two spacers out that hold the brakes, and then we should be able to put the wheel on and, you know, be one step closer. I guess we need to look at the front tire real quick and see how we get this off. Let me put you back in the tripod. Don't think this is threaded. I just friction fit. Grab something and try and push it out. Seems like it's latched onto something in there. 1 minute. So let's just get the axle out and try and use that to push that protector out. I should mention this is a much larger bolt. The little key that they give you does not have is 8mm wrench that you'll need if you get these forks. So just be aware of that. You're going to need to have an 8mm Allen key. Let's see. Yeah. There we go. Got it through the bearings. Alright, I'm just going to put you on pause for a minute until I get this piece of plastic out. Okay, so I finally got that out. It was just wedged in there really nice and tight. And put the axle through and gave it a couple of bumps with my hand, and it finally popped out. So anyway, let's keep going. We'll pull the spacers out. And get the wheel coming and make sure we're aligned with that. Start the axle. Alright, fed all the way through. And we have a front wheel. So if you don't know, pedals always thread in, rotating towards the front of the bike. And because of that, there are reverse threads on the left pedal, I think, yes. And you can tell which pedal is which if you look closely. There'll be like this one has an R, that one has an L. So, just get them on the right side of the bike and they should thread in. You do get a wrench, 15 millimeter, to tighten this up. The instructions do say to use a little grease on the threads, so I've done that. And let's get these on. So protect the film on there still, which is nice. In case you're wondering, this stand that I'm using is actually for my motorcycle, but works well for this. Okay, the last bit is to install the seat. There are marks right here. If it's not focusing, trust me, you need to make sure the seat post is at least that far in. Just flip the quick release, and I got to loosen. They tightened it up pretty good. And then you tighten these up until you just start getting tension about halfway through this pull. You should be all set. All right, we are basically done. I guess we can talk a little bit about the bike now. It is the extra large bike. I am 6'3", and so I wanted it as beefy as could be. For me, at 6'3", got just enough. It says for 6'2" and over. I have just enough clearance on this frame. I think I'm going to be good for leg extension. And like I said, it does have the upgraded fork, which is hopefully going to be nice. Basically I put my money into everything that could break because I'm big. So you can put another battery on top here and extend your range even further. For most of my riding, I'm probably not going to be doing a lot of distance, just kind of messing around in the woods. So I figure I'll start with the regular battery and put my money into the components for now. So upgraded the forks. I got the Magura disc brakes. By default it comes with a 2-piston disc brake. These are 4-piston disc brakes. Again, this is a big heavy bike and I'm a big dude. I want to be able to stop when it's time to stop. I did also upgrade the rear sprocket to something a little beefier. It's one of the upgrade options. And the last quote non-stock thing is I opted for the bigger headlight. I'm up in the Northeast. In the winter it gets dark early. Got big fat tires. I'm not planning on letting a little snow or anything stop me if I want to go riding. So having that light will extend my riding time. Let's take a closer look at some things. So you can see this is a full suspension bike. Has a rock shock for the rear, lockout. Here's the little closer look at the Ren shocks. also lockout. First time I've had, as you can see, this is my 1990s mountain bike that I've been riding forever. No suspension, so this is all going to be a little new to me. Quantum leap forward, you might say. The heart of the matter is this right here. I go around the other side. It's a 1,000-watt motor. Should get up and go. I'm at an age where, as much as I love this motorcycle, it's probably about time to start toning it down a little bit before I really hurt myself one day. I don't do anything too crazy, but this is a very fast machine, a 250R, just screamer, and I have a lot of fun on it, but you know, its days are numbered. Plus, yeah, I always feel a little guilty riding around the woods. Kind of see, you know, just woods behind my house. Got trails back there, and riding this around back there, even though I'm going to put some aftermarket silencers on it just to tame down the noise a little bit, it's still pretty loud, and I feel a little guilty for my neighbor, you know, inconveniencing my neighbors. So hopefully this is a good middle ground. I certainly don't expect it to blast away like my 250R, but from what I hear, this thing has some get up and go. This is a throttle right here. It's a little weird growing up riding ATVs to have it on the left thumb, but you know, if you got to be shifting your lower gears here, makes sense. So anyway, it's got a nice control panel. I should throw the battery in real quick. It's just to power it up. I'm not going to ride it today until I get it fully charged, but I guess I'll point out that these are e-bike brakes and that they have a sensor wire to cut the motor when you hit the brakes. Also, it let's see if I can find a wire. I believe that somewhere in this is, I think there's also a cutoff for when you're shifting. It'll cut the motor so you don't like rake your chain over the gears as it's trying to shift. So that's pretty nice. And what else? The battery just slides into the bottom of the frame. If I can do this one-handed. And then you can lock it in, and if we hit power, see what happens. There you go. Again, I'm not going to go riding today. You can see it's at 39%, but we got it together now, and I'm just curious. I'm going to give it a little, yep, we'll grease the throttle. And it goes. So that's going to be interesting. I guess that's it for tonight. I'm going to put it on the charger, get it ready, and then come another day from now, I guess, when I have some time, we're going to do a showdown between what I can do human-powered with the various levels of assist that this has. See if I can figure this out real quick on the fly. Is this touchscreen? No. So if I hit, I can switch, and it's in metric now, kilometers. I know it can be switched over. Oh, here you go. So mode 2, 3, 4. These are different pedal assist modes. From what I understand, with the programming cable, you can actually make it unlocked. So actually you can see mode 0, 255 kilometer range with in pedal assist 1 you get 50 kilometers with what's left on the battery. So anyway, ooh, I just push and hold and we went to sport mode. Push and hold again, eco. So anyway, I got to figure out, do a little more research on the different modes, and this light should come on. Yep. So nice big light. Just using the button on the handlebars here. I got to put the little seat post LED red flasher on. That's just, it's not hooked into the battery. It's just your typical little strap-on light. So nothing special there. But I'm going to power it off for now. Get things put away. It's getting late. And we'll pick this up again and have some fun. I almost forgot to install fork protectors. Again, the little 3-prong Allen key that they give you doesn't have a small enough instead of large enough, but it doesn't have a small enough Allen wrench. This is a 3mm for these clips, and a little stubborn. There we go. I should point out there's one of these. You can see it's just straight all the way. That's for the side without the brake. And then the other has a cutout, so when you install it near the rotor, it has a little spot to go. Anyway. And just tighten it back up. Wait until it gets snug and then line everything up. You don't want to totally crank that down, just so it's good and snug. And you do the same thing from the other side. I'll go ahead and put it on and then give you a close-up of it clearing the brake. So if you look right over the brake rotor, you can see that maybe that there's a cutout so that we don't contact the rotor as it spins. And you know, that's not going to go up or down because it's the top of the shock that goes up and down, or rather the lower portion travels up into the upper shock. So anyway, there's a good look at the brakes. See, two pistons, one on each side to really clamp down on that. Same back here, and I think that's about it for now. Okay, one last thing. I forgot to tighten these up. So as soon as I went to roll it around, handlebars started pivoting. So anyway, that was the last thing. And I'll ride it. Once I get to riding a little bit, I'll adjust the up and down on the handlebars, but I think that's going to be about right. And then I just strapped on the little light that comes with it. It's just a push button on top. It's either solid on, flashing, or off. Alright, I think that's really it this time. So now that you have the bike assembled, there's just a few things left to do. If you're like me and had the bike shipped to you, then they probably sent it, especially if you're in the States, via plane. Because it's going at high altitude, they can't ship it with air in the forks and the tires. Well, not much anyway. So make sure you air up your tires, and think everybody probably knows how to do that. You have to set your forks, which we'll cover in a minute, and then you have to wear in your brakes. And I won't show it here, but that's just a very simple process. You ride slowly, just ride the brakes, don't stop, but just get to a slow speed, like 4 or 5 miles an hour. Drag the brakes until you're almost stopped, let go. Like do your rear brake. Do that 5 times. Repeat with the front. And then do the whole thing again 5 times front and back at a higher rate of speed. But again, just go, 10 miles an hour and then drag the brakes until you're almost stopped and then repeat 5 times. So it's a pretty easy and quick thing to do, but apparently that helps set the brakes in. So again, air up your tires. But the last kind of worky kind of bit is the forks, and you can see as I mentioned, I have the upgraded inverted fork. With the Ren fork that they ship is the dual air. It just means, as opposed to the single air, it just means that it has air chambers top and bottom that you can inflate to control the length of the fork travel, and whether it's linear or progressive and all that kind of stuff. We'll just do a basic setup right now, because I am getting the feeling that really tuning the fork is kind of an art. So how do you tell it's a twin air? At the bottom of the left fork there is another valve, not to be confused with the rebound handle there. It's just another, typical, I can't do it with the left hand, but it's just another cap on top of a valve, and you have your top valve here. Oops, darn it. And you need to inflate these. Now, with the twin air, they recommend that you inflate to about 50 pounds on the top, but actually before you even do that, you should remove any air that might be present in the bottom chamber, because the default is to not put air in the bottom chamber. So let me put the camera on the tripod and we'll go through this whole process and on how to set up the fork. Okay, before I get going, I should discuss the pump you're going to use. You may be tempted just to use your average old, regular old bike pump. I've been playing with this a little bit already. I kind of, strongly recommend you get a fork pump, a suspension fork pump. They're not expensive. This one was like $20, $20-something on Amazon. These don't take forever to pump up. It's just, a few pumps and you're good. And it'll, they have bleeder valves that you can, let the air out pretty easily. This one's kind of nice compared to a lot of them. It has this little lever here, and you want it up when you thread this on, and you do all your adjustments. And before you start unscrewing it, you do pull that back, and I don't know if this will show, but it actually pulls the pin back in the housing, so that you don't lose any air as you're kind of trying to unscrew this. Like I said, there's not a lot of air volume in these, so if you get a little air loss as you're unscrewing it, you're going to, potentially change your pressure by a fair amount. So anyway, to start this, I went ahead and put this on the bottom of the fork, and then just used the bleeder valve to make sure I was down to 0. There was, a few pounds of air in there. They want it at 0 when you do this. Beyond that, they say to start this is sort of trial and error. Find what, meets your riding style. They recommend starting at the top air chamber at like 30% of your weight, or like 50 pounds in the instructions, depending on whether you're watching the online videos or instructions. I'm going to go ahead and inflate this up to a little bit over that. for me because it's a heavy bike. I'm a big dude, and I know I'm going to be hitting some rough spots on trails. So I want a stronger pressure in there to avoid bottoming out. So again, not a big deal. You flip this up. Thread this on real quick. Make sure you get a good seat. I'm starting from about 20 pounds. That was 20 to 50 and just that. I'm going to go keep going a little bit. Alright, and again, take it off, flip that up, and just start unscrewing it. You're not going to lose any pressure. Now to see if it's at the right pressure, you start out by trying to set the sag. And there are basically big O-rings on the fork that are just there for helping you measure the sag. So on both sides you want to push them up so that they touch the top of the fork. And then this might be something ideally where you have a helper help you steady the bike, but if you're just careful, you don't want to push down on this. This is sort of a measurement of your weight and if it's good for the air pressure. So you want to gently put all your weight on the bike and not bounce, and then gently get off. So you're trying to you're trying to just see how far that O-ring gets pushed down. So okay, so it wasn't too bouncy there. And now you have to measure how far down that O-ring went. I do not have a metric ruler, so I'll just use this set of calipers I have. And I don't think it needs to be this precise, but I just measured 24 millimeters. This is a 110 millimeter travel fork. They recommend sag be no more than 20%, which would be 22 millimeters. So I need to put more air to prevent the sag from being too far. So I'll go ahead and do that. I'll add a couple more pounds, test it again until I get to right around 22 millimeters. Alright, got it down to, got it to 22.59. I'm going to call that a win. All I need to do now is put the caps back on. One accessory that I put on here is this phone mount, also from Biktrix. It's all aluminum. It's pretty nice. It holds my Pixel 3 quite well. Just turn this knob to lock it in, and you can move it all over, and then once you get to your liking, lock this bottom nut down, and it'll hold really well. So that's all the setup. All that's left to do now is ride around and compare it to a bike, a regular bike, and we'll do some side-by-side tests. I'll fly my drone up in the air and we can see how relatively fast they are compared to each other. Me on a regular bike versus this, and not that I'm in the greatest shape or anything, but we'll see how it goes. So let's check that out. Alright, welcome back. It's obviously no longer summer. Got busy and never completed the video. But you can take a little ride through the woods in the winter when it's snowing. We've had about 4 inches. This is pretty heavy wet snow, but I have the assist up at 4 to kind of plow through this, and it seems to work well. So let's go for a ride. Well, it is definitely a little slippery. I can feel the front tire washing out here and there, and the back wants to slide around, but it is totally rideable, even in, like I said, about, well, you can see where I turned around. I don't know if that's going to come through very well, but we got like a good 4 inches of heavy wet stuff on the ground, and you know, it's making it through reasonably well. If this was just powder, I think it would be perfectly rideable. It's just slightly challenging in this. So this is, you know, a year-round bike if you want to get it for that. So in conclusion, I guess, been riding this for a while now, and so far haven't had any complaints with it at all. It's been working exactly as expected. It's got good enough battery life for me. I only have the one battery in it, and been having fun with it. So if you're interested in this bike, I'll put a link in the description. I'll also pin a comment where you can, you know, check this out for yourself if you want to buy it. It's not inexpensive, but feels like it's a good long-term purchase that'll get many years out of it. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this. Hope it was informative. If you got any questions, let me know in the comments, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. All right, till next time.